This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Minute podcast. Today we're talking about sticking to your core, sticking to the knitting. So there is so much made today about how everybody should be innovating all the time. And obviously, we're huge believers in constant improvement and constantly trying to get better at what we do. The flip side is that most businesses really thrive when they know their business well, they stick to their business, and they double down on it. And this doesn't mean that there's not times where the world just changes around you and your core business may disappear. Certainly people saw that with Polaroid, with Blockbuster, with several other companies over the years. At the same time, you want to spend 80% of your time sticking to your core business, doubling down on your core business, understanding your core customers, your core revenues, your core profits, and maybe 20% of your time innovating and looking at new ideas and testing new ideas. Another great example of this is Goldman Sachs. And Goldman Sachs, to their credit, knows their core business. A few years ago, they invested heavily in consumer banking, which, again, anybody who had a brain would have seen. Goldman's in these high-margin, great businesses, trading, banking, other businesses, where they're just a behemoth in the areas they're in. Big offerings for Fortune 500 companies, lots of excitement, big dollars. Then they decided to get in the consumer banking business. And why would you possibly want to take a franchise like Goldman and turn it into B of A or JP Morgan? God only knows. Those are great places, JP Morgan and Bank of America. They're just different than Goldman Sachs. Again, Goldman Sachs has again returned now to say we're getting out of the consumer banking business. We're going to stick to what we're great at and go back to our core. Again, we're a huge fan of businesses knowing their core, being great at their core, and yes, innovating around that. But we believe in the 80-20 rule here. 80% of your core business, 20% on innovation, new ideas, and so forth. Not the flip side of that, where so many people have gotten chasing the new thing, the innovation bug, this, that, the other. And the game really is, how are you great at what you do? How are you great with your best clients? How are you great with your best businesses, your best people, your best profits, your best revenues, and so forth and so on. Thank you so much for listening to the Becker Business Minute, the Becker Private Equity Business Podcast. Again, the concept today is understand your core and stick to your core. Thank you for listening.